I am a man with many enemies.
The elevator opens for no one.
The Boston Red Sox.
And plans on making me.
The mayor of Boston. The governor of Massachusetts.
I'm paralyzed into you.
Boston Globe.
And plans on making me.
It's a war.
And plans on making me.
We're going to battle it out.
All sit there,
Everyone looks like
won't learn a fucking thing.
My dick's so big, doesn't even matter. He's 2 feet tall.
And nobody will get in trouble. Now, of course, everybody's gonna kill each other after the watch.
He's gonna fucking open his mouth, it'll fall right in.
Just too busy to accept it.
And it is going to be, when it's done, the most successful podcast in the history of mankind.
And we already met.
Listen, there's only one Minifan show.
Everyone looks like everyone.
It's right here.
And plans on making me. And plans on making me.
No protection.
And here we are. We are back for another Quantum Kirk. And a very, very special guest. A guy who's not been on the network in a while. Used to be a host his own wrap-up show. And chose this episode, which we will get into the episode. But it's hard not to talk about what's going on in the Minifan world at the moment, especially with our friend Buddy from formerly of Kirk and Alf. Buddy, welcome to Quantum Kirk.
Thanks. How's it going, boys?
Going good, going good.
Nailed it.
Yeah, been a while. I saw you in Saco for the producer search. You were there. That was a fun night where we saw John and all the boys do their thing. Yeah, so we're recording this on Wednesday. Who knows if Andrew will have a job next week? It seems like he will. Kirk's not going to fire anybody. That's what it looks like. So, I mean, you're the guy that brought him into this world. Is this all of your fault, technically? Like, should you apologize to Kirk right now?
Fair question. I totally will if you'd like me to.
No. I'm just asking.
But Kirk made his own choice. So that same day, Andrew like does his video like last second at Saco, and he's just like, I'm just gonna poll like the guys and see who everybody thinks that should be producer, and nobody cares what I think, but I said John should be, because I think he, like, even though I didn't pay attention to the producer searcher at all, okay. but I just like out of like who gets the show and who's like the best for it, like I thought John was the best choice anyway, but yeah, blame BMD. Like I said in another DM chat like earlier, like it was BMD's idea to do the news. BMD, like, maybe I brought up Andrew, but BMD had final say for that show, so he
All right, so can we clear something up really quick, buddy? Because he says it all the time on the show. I know you kind of dropped off from listening, so I think you're back a little bit now, right?
Yep.
But just having the baby and stuff, you just kind of got overwhelmed with, like, that's what you were telling me, that once you miss a few shows, you just felt like it was hard to catch back up. Is that correct?
Yeah, and there's so much content now. Like I'm the old guy who's like, I wish there was all like 1.5 hour shows, and like 4 years or 3 years ago, I was like, fuck you, dude, leave my 4 hour shows alone. They're the best. Like now if I see one of those, I can't keep up. There's no way.
Yeah. So, but you are back in a little bit. You were saying in Saco and stuff, and you're listening. He says it a lot on the show that I got him fired from Kirking off. And I don't understand how I get blamed for this. And Buddy, the one who actually told him, and I think it was right before a Saco show, right? Like Saco 2, when we went up.
I don't remember.
You don't remember, but no. And like you skate on this all the time, and he blames me. Like, I just don't understand how that's even like a thing.
I mean, I probably say it was BMD's call. No, it was definitely my call, for being honest. Like, I try to blame everything on BMD as much as I can. If you were begging me for weeks, though, let's not pretend.
Dude, all right, no, 100%, not in.
Okay, so this wasn't just a singular tweet or something.
Yeah, no. Unavowed, not an Andrew fan, like, especially on that show. Like, when they brought him on originally, if anyone is a Kirkenoff fan, and they had a lot of listeners, so if you weren't a Kirkenoff fan, shut up, buddy. You guys were good. If you weren't a Kirkenoff fan, Andrew, they did their podcast just them two for a while. Then Andrew came in and did the news, which, by the way, was really funny. Was a good segment. He would come in and do flashing news, and then Buddy, stop me when I'm wrong. He then just started showing up to every episode. And then, like, being the third voice instead of just doing the news. And eventually, that's when I was like, this kid sucks.
Yeah, once we like ran out of people that we wanted to interview or that like we knew stuff like a little bit about, like we were just like, all right, Andrew, you can be like third chair like this week, and then we just kept running with it. But yeah, like that's why, and like I mean, that was pretty much the first sign Kirk and Off was over. Was like I was like, all right, BMD, I just want to do the shows with you again. I just want to like shoot the shit. Andrew talks too much. Like I can't have it. Like it's always off topic. I can't do it. Like let's just we don't have much time left. Let's just do it. And so that's pretty much why we did it. But really, it's because David got a StreamYard and we didn't have to pay for it. So that's so we were using StreamYard for a while. But so I'm not proud of, but we weren't going to pay for it.
and then you brought in Jay, and that was the final nail in the coffin.
I love those like mayhem minutes, like at the like just like when he, like I wish we did more of those. Where
it was actually the perfect forum for Jay. Like
the
that was
segment was Daver's right. It was unbelievable. Like it made me like want to help Augustus right out of the bat. I put like when we were about to do the bracket, he was like our side. Like we gave him the bracket release before anyone, and he dropped it from his. Like we were all in on Augustus at one point, and then he just. Fucking he got on the show and he just can't talk. Like
he just can't speak. It's crazy. He can't speak.
You do the little music nervous. Intro. Like it was I was a big fan of the segment.
I was a big fan. I also liked what was the other segment I enjoyed was Buddy trying to decipher Jay's mayhem tweets. That was a fantastic segment.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Yeah. Good stuff. So yeah. All right. Well, anyway, let's get into the episode now. Buddy chose this episode. He's our special guest. It is a Steve Robinson episode. It's a great episode. I had never done a re-listen of this, so this is really, really good. Kind of forgotten about this. This is one of those, like, I would call a hidden gem for sure. And it was a weird time in the history of the show. So we'll get into all that. How we start off every episode. Danny, please drop the date and the name of the episode that we are going to talk about.
Absolutely, Daver. So this was September 14th, 2020, and the show was called "You're Calling a Hospital Room."
So right away, the if anyone remembers, it kind of the title gives it away, right? Like the title kind of gives it away. And when I say an interesting time in the show, there's no blind Mike. This is fencing blind Mike. Am I correct on that?
Yeah,
boys?
Early on in fencing blind Mike too, because they mentioned. I think Justin had hosted Mike and the Minifans, and then at one point Steve Robinson was asking Kirk if he was going to host Mike and the Minifans that weekend. So I think this was still early on. Have you heard from Mike? No, I haven't heard from Mike. It was just a little bit of that.
Yeah,
yeah. It was like a week at Blind Camp. It was like his first week or whatever, because they were joking that he'd come back the next Monday. Like in that too. Yeah.
Okay, so buddy, what makes you jump out at this episode? Your original episode you wanted to do, we actually did last week. If it's actually for full disclosure. Which will probably be released in the next couple of days, is the Clemmer.
It airs tomorrow, not tonight. And
it airs tomorrow night.
Apparently, I can't read a calendar anymore.
I gave him.
Yeah, and I haven't
long ago
seen it yet.
Oh, we're sticking with Thursdays apparently. Oh. We'll talk about that later. We don't need that right now.
I haven't seen it yet, but I wanted to listen to that because it's one of my favorite BMD prank calls. Like that Lamely one is so good.
It's so good. We play it at the end. It's so fucking good, buddy.
It just makes me laugh. I'll watch it. I'll give you one view. Like it just makes me laugh so bad. But so then I said to you, I'm like, you pick whatever episode from the Steve era you want to do. And then like I forget how busy you are and how impatient I am. So I was like, okay, I'll just keep scrolling. Fuck it. And then damn, I told myself I was going to swear. And then so anyway, so I get to You're Calling a Hospital Room, and I didn't remember anything else but that. Like that one conversation. But I really enjoyed it. It was I think like you said, like an under the radar show because it's only 2 hours. Sure it has like that standout moment, but for the most part, like it's just the two of them, and it's when they weren't cranking out like long shows or like say like Canorado or whatever. That's a huge one. Like but yeah, I was super happy to go back and listen to it and to hear Steve's voice again because I love the Steve era being a big.
Yeah, so this is a weird one, and Danny, I'll bring you in here because I don't think Kirk would ever do this again. Like I don't think he would ever do a show where it's like just him and Coleman and for 2 hours. And like that's the difference between like a Coleman and a Steve. Like I just don't think Kirk's interested in that anymore. And even like I was in last week and I asked him, the biggest difference I noticed between re-listening to old shows and now is he doesn't do the, what's next to Steve. He does it this episode where he just jumps in and he starts talking and he gets into stuff that he wants to talk about and then kind of freestyles with Steve and bounces back. Not that, he doesn't do that a little now, but he just said that it kind of changed when Cullinane came, I think is the answer that he gave me. And that he just kind of likes testing producers now. Where with Steve, he kind of felt like he knew Steve was always prepared, I guess. Right? Is that
Yeah, Dave,
is that fair,
once
Danny?
again, it's like you already looked at my notes because that was a couple of the first things I had. Absolutely. The same thought crossed my mind. I could not see him doing this one-on-one with Coleman and definitely not with Augustus. Not to say maybe Coleman couldn't get there, but even with Cullinane, like there were a couple Kirk Cullinane one-on-one episodes that if there was a topic and there was something, and especially if Cullinane got on one of his heaters, it was entertaining and he could sustain it. But just the back and forth with Steve, it was really refreshing now and again. I mean, I loved having Mike on the show, especially post fencing, and some of the guests were less frequent at that time. Like they didn't have us bums coming in at that point.
Yeah.
So I think
Agreed.
that there was just that back and forth, and to your point, it was very conversational. So you'll note that it's basically Steve has some audio cut of this Tom Brady interview with Dax Shepard, which Kirk, if you played that today, he'd probably say, "Get the fuck out of here! I don't care about that."
Yeah, he'd skip right over that right now.
He was all over it then, and I know you will bring up a clip in a bit, but he was full on Brady hate at this point, and I won't give away what he says in that clip, but we'll get to that. But you can tell he just wanted to jump down Brady's throat, and he kind of goes back and forth, the TB12 stuff, and then eventually this leads into where we'll get with the call, but there was no, like you said, there was no what's next. It was just him and Steve kind of vamping, going back and forth. He called Steve stupid like once. Like you notice the respect that Kirk has for Steve as compared to Cullinane and now where we're at, with the current producers, and it just the way he interacts with them, you can just tell he reveres Steve and basically treats him as close to an equal as he treats anybody, except now if like a Jeff D. Lowe comes on the show or a Big Cat or a Portnoy, he doesn't really. He doesn't talk to the guests like he does at that level that he did with Steve for the most part. Guests or producers for the most part.
Close to an equal, but not a partner.
Correct, not a partner.
Not a partner. Very clearly stated, not a partner.
That's a little bit later, but yeah.
Yeah. So there's a couple of things that jump out to me when they're having this conversation, and we do this a lot, buddy, on this show where time is a flat circle, where you re-listen and you catch things that are kind of still happening now. So Kirk was mad at Kevin from Bristol because he was on Justin and the Minifans. Like Danny said before, that he was on Justin was hosting Justin the Minifans, and I guess Justin did a really bad job, and he had Kevin from Bristol, and he was mad. And
that's 3.5 fucking years ago. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy. And then Kirk called Justin, and I wrote this down. He says, "Is Justin autistic because he doesn't laugh at anything?" Which is just crazy. The difference of Justin now. Who's like silly Justin, who's, causing trouble and doing stuff. So that was interesting to hear. Go ahead, John.
If you meet Justin in person, though, like I think Snell said it in his episode this week, when you meet Justin in person, he's an awkward guy. And like, I don't think every time you try to like make a joke with him, it seems like I could see where people could say that about Justin, even though he's the kindest, friendliest, giggly person in the world. Like I don't know, in person, he's a strange guy. So I could see that.
Yeah, so Kirk asked that, and I just found that funny. And then the biggest thing was he was mad at Kevin from Bristol. Did anyone catch this in the episode, or was I the only one? He was mad at Kevin from Bristol because Kevin from Bristol suggested that Kirk hire John from Scranton and Justin onto the show. And Kirk yelled at him, and he goes, "Don't tell me how to run my show. You going to pay for these fucking idiots. I don't need any help. I don't need any help from anybody." It's just... I
guess who he talked about hiring on today's show.
Wait, they said me?
Yes. Kevin from Bristol in this episode suggested that you and Justin...
You almost got hired in this episode and then again today.
Wow. Yeah. Okay, you're right. Yeah, and the Brady Belichick thing. That's wild.
And the Brady Belichick thing, which has been talked about all week. So, it's nuts how, like, Buddy, like, brings this up, and it's like, we don't even try to be topical of what's going on right now, and then things just click. Buddy, I'll start with you. What else in the middle, before we get to the big part of the show, what else did you enjoy about this re-listening? Did you catch that interested you?
So literally, I had only one note besides for like the timestamp for like the big call, and that's like because I'm Kirk enough. I would never say Kirk was wrong, but like Kirk was wrong about the Brady Belichick thing.
Oh, play it.
Yeah, play it now. Yeah.
Oh, that's why
Brady suck. I saw the highlights. He looks awful.
Gronk sucked too.
Gronk looks like he's 300 years old.
Yeah.
Brady has he's been injected in his face more than fucking Nancy Pelosi. He looks awful. He looks old. He looks terrible. Bruce Arians, the Bucs coach, threw him under the bus after the game, which was great.
Fuck this.
I'm gonna love watching the Bucks suck. These things where these old guys get together, it never works out ever. They're gonna suck. It's gonna be great. I've been telling people for years Brady's a phony. Nobody wanted to believe me. People got upset. People shit on me. As usual, I was dead right. They were dead wrong. Belichick will win this war. Belichick is smarter than Brady. And you get old as a coach. You can't get old as a quarterback. Write that one down, sports fans. You can get old as a coach. You can't get old as a quarterback. You writing that?
So one of the rare
Brady's hoisting the championship trophy.
Championship. So this is September 14th. You said, Danny. So I think this is after like week 2 of the COVID season, because they also talk about fans are only 20% or in the stadium and stuff.
Yep.
Which, by the way, just brings back like really icky memories. What an awful season that was. Like I hated, buddy, when you watch highlights now of the COVID eras, like soccer games or whatever, like United, and you see no one in the stadium and they'll show like a goal and you're like, ew, I remember that. That was disgusting. Like, why did we even participate in this?
It was so shitty.
United played so well then, though.
Yeah, they did. They were really good then.
No fans to get on them.
Kirk brings up as well. I mean, NBA ratings are down. NFL ratings are down. I mean, NBA is about to start the playoffs in September. I mean, it was so weird and messed up. And I remember that's the least I've ever been interested in sports since I was like 5. I mean, it just really sucked. And I know for me personally, it took a little bit of time to rebound in some of my sports interests. It's just, it was a crazy time.
Yeah, but so unfortunately, Kirk got that one wrong. I can't lie. I was thinking the same thing too. I was like, Belichick will outlast him, and coaches can get older, quarterbacks can't. And like you said, Danny, 6 months later, Brady's hosting a trophy. The Patriots haven't sniffed anything relevant since, and here we are.
But time will tell. I mean, the fact is Brady's now been retired for a couple of years, and now Belichick's still coaching. So there's still time.
Yeah, we'll see. That was a tough. That was
if
tough.
If he breaks the wins record and somehow gets another championship in 5 years with another quarterback, But the immediacy of the championship after this statement is kind of crazy.
Yeah. Anything else, Danny, that jumped out at you before we get into the heart of the episode?
So to kind of go in chronological order, just before we lead up to this, and maybe I can sort of spool us into how we even get to the phone call, because there is that Brady part. So there were a couple little things we can come back to at the end, but you've got this whole quote, and then basically this goes into this Dax Shepard podcast, right? And so it's Dax Shepard married to Kristen Bell, and this podcast, Steve was saying they guaranteed 1.2 million downloads, so it was over 35K per ad read, and this was an obvious
what Steve found out.
TB12, I think it ended up being like, he guessed 35 and ended up being like 37.5 or something.
Yeah.
And so this was obviously like a TB12 plant. At one point, Dax is like, "Oh, so you got this TB12 line coming out, huh?" And it just so canned, so ridiculous. And they're asking him all about, the tomatoes and the diet and the nightshades and all this bullshit. So then Dax is like, "Oh, okay. Now we're going to ask you just one Howard Sternish question. Do you sleep with your wife on game day?" And Brady's like, "Oh, probably not really." And Kirk's like, "Fuck this. This is like one of the top podcasts. They make all this money. Like, I can do this." Steve, start calling random numbers. I'm going to start asking people the questions that Dax asked Brady, and I'm going to show that I can do this 10 million times better. And that's what led to this just incredible podcasting history.
It really is. It's crazy how he can turn and this is what, the genius of Kirk, this is why we're fans, is he can turn that little statement and Steve start dialing random numbers. And then they got one person on the phone who wasn't playful. And then he got a lot of busy signals, and Kirk's just like, how can we never get a random number? Yeah. Fax machine. So he finally just gives them, is that the number from his old home in Winchester? Is that correct?
In Billerica.
I'm sorry.
Down about 2.37 miles from me. Not that I know that exactly, but
and buddy,
Sumac Street in Billerica.
Yeah, I'll let you jump in. And so, because obviously this is unbelievable. So paint a picture for the people of what happens next here, buddy.
So the woman Kirk starts with whatever the question is, which was sex with your husband on game night, because woman answers, and she doesn't even say what. I think she just says you're calling a hospital room, and that's
you call it.
They go in. It's just it's unbelievable. Which I think now since we talked about it, or and obviously we talked about it a little in the DMs. I think this is the second time they called this number actually. And the first time they have the same kind of response, but I don't know, or maybe they call after, but it isn't the only time.
I think they call after. I think this is the first time that they called.
Steve mentions that they had called it. He thinks they called it before. I don't remember.
Oh,
Maybe
okay.
it was a different house too, though. Like, so, but
It
like,
could have
I
been
thought the
before they
hospital
moved
thing had
it
come up
to
twice.
and I had a conversation with Tim and Canton about this, trying to figure out what hospital it was because we don't think we actually find out. So there's a couple local hospitals around here: Winchester, Leahy, Lowell General. But it also, as Steve mentioned, it could have been like a palliative care, hospice type situation. So it could have been a smaller thing here in Billerica. But yeah, we still don't really know where this lady was. I mean, we found out very little about her. We don't even know her first name, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah.
And so, John, if you want to drop the clip in here in post, then it's probably a good spot for it.
Here's my dad answered.
Hello.
Hello. Do you make love to your husband on game night?
You're calling a hospital room.
Okay. Are you dying?
Yes, I have cancer.
Okay. What cancer do you have?
Lung cancer.
Lung cancer. What stage were you at?
It's small cell. There's no stage.
Okay. Both of my parents died of cancer. So this is a podcast, okay? This is the Kirk Minahan Show on Barstool Sports. You're live the tape. So I called this number randomly because when I was a child, I grew up in Billerica. This is my phone number. So we were just playing a podcast where somebody asked Tom Brady that dumb question. So I was calling to ask you that dumb question. How are you feeling right now?
Not very good.
Is there anything I can do for you? Are you in Massachusetts?
Yes.
Do you know who Kirk Minahan is?
No, I don't follow sports.
That's okay. No big deal. How old are you?
60.
60. Ah, geez, I'm sorry. Were you a smoker or no?
Yeah, but I stopped 6 years ago.
Do you regret smoking at all now? I can't imagine.
Oh, absolutely.
But when you were young,
absolutely.
How old were you when you started?
Probably 16, 17 years old.
That's the thing, right? So you probably had no idea. Did you know the dangers at the time or no?
Of course not. My parents smoked. Everybody smoked.
Yeah, I'm a little younger than you, but I remember just growing up, and that was just kind of life. Like everyone would come over, and you look at the old pictures, and literally TV, everything, everybody was doing it. I don't know I don't know when everyone's smartened up.
We smoked in the movie theater. We smoked in the supermarket.
I remember being
smoked everywhere.
I remember being on planes as a kid, and there were smoking.
Yeah, I smoked on planes.
Smoking and non-smoking sessions on planes. So 2 rows in front of you, somebody was smoking. I mean,
you could smoke in hospital waiting room.
Right. Well, my mom would say that, and she smoked too, and she thinks that's maybe she died of pancreatic cancer. I'm sure you're going to be fine, but yeah, she had a tough run. But
I got 6 months to a year.
Is there anything I can do for you? Because we have a huge podcast.
No,
are you sure?
Not really. Yeah.
Ugh. I'm sorry. I feel terrible. You seem like a nice.
What can you do?
You seem like a nice. Can we get? So we have a big audience. Can you give my producer your information? These people will want to reach out and help you in some way. Is there any charity you're doing or any money you need raised or anything?
No.
You're sure? You've had a good life?
Yeah.
Kids?
Yeah, thank God. Thank God. Thank God for health insurance.
Yeah.
Chemo's like $30,000
That's crazy.
a shot.
Oh, I know it.
Yeah.
Kids or no? Or
yeah, he's 40 years old, though.
Yeah. How's he handling? Okay or no?
Not well.
No, it's terrible. You know, your mom's the most important person in your life. I'm so sorry.
Well, I've been a single parent, too, his whole life. So.
Oh, you're tough then. Oh, well, look, I'm thinking of you, okay?
Gee, appreciate it.
Can we reach out sometime in the future?
Not really. Just a little prayer here and there.
We'll do that. We will do that. Okay. Hang in there, okay?
All right.
See you.
All right.
Bye-bye. Could Dak Shepard do that, Steve?
No, I don't think Dak Shepard.
We now have our soundbite for Mondays. I have cancer. This is not funny. This is not funny. I was very nice to her.
You were, yes.
No, I feel bad. That's not what I expect. This fucking show
you shouldn't feel bad. She wanted to talk to somebody.
This show's unbelievable.
Yeah. Did you? Is that like an actress that you paid to answer that number?
So
the conversation, he's being silly at first, and then when he realizes like she's answering his questions, she's not getting off the phone. She has cancer. He then turns it and he stops being silly. Cancer. And he turns it, and they have like a real, honest, fucking conversation. It was really refreshing to hear. To be honest with you, buddy, it really was.
It's emotional. Yeah, but he's choked up.
Yeah. The only thing, like one of my favorite things from the call too is right at the end where Kirk turns to Steve and he's like, "Could Dak Shepard do that?" It's just like, it always makes me laugh. Like after like such like a heavy whatever, I think we said it was 4 minutes or whatever. But it's just like I love like the woman's resolve to it. She's like, "No, leave me alone. Like I'm good. Like I'm dying. Like
she's at peace.
Yeah, she's at peace with it.
Yeah,
she
she
seemed at
seemed
peace
like
with
it.
it.
I gotta say,
My son's not, right?
re-listening,
Yeah.
and I assume she's no longer with us at this point. I mean, that's kind of crazy.
I think someone asked a couple months ago. I think someone asked on the show.
Yeah, I actually heard that. Yep, and Kirk said that he did stay in touch with her and like talked with her a little bit over time, but like she had passed on like in about 6 months. I think he had said. But,
and I
don't
actually
remember when
got
that was, but I still remember.
I do remember that, buddy. Yeah, and I actually got a tad choked up when she mentioned she was 60.
I have cancer.
And then he's like, "Thanks, John." He's like, yeah.
As Danny's about to cry, John.
Yeah, Jesus Christ. And he's like, "Do you have kids?" And she's like, "Yeah, I got a son. He's 40." And I'm like, "Fuck, I'm 41." Like, I'm kind of like, "Yeah, shit." Like, that hits hard. If you like, "Hey, my mom's gonna die in the next 6 months."
I have cancer.
God damn, that sucks.
The button.
And he's like, how's he doing with it? And she's like, "Not well." I was like,
not well.
That would be me. I'd be a fucking
was
mess.
super like a gangster. Like she was just honest about everything. Like he's like, "Do you regret like starting smoking?" And she's like, "Fuck yeah." Like, yeah, I regret it. Like, and it's but she said she's like, like we knew, but we didn't know back then. Like she said she started when she was like what, 14 or 15 or some shit.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. So
smoking on airplanes and restaurants. I mean, John's gonna light one up for us and demonstrate.
4 years ahead of that.
Yeah.
John's gonna outlive us all, though. That's the difference.
Yeah, 100%. Like everyone has.
But yeah, so Kirk's like, and to Buddy's point, he's like, Kirk's like, "Let's keep in touch. Let's get her some flowers. Like, let's do something. Send her a care package."
Yeah.
And Steve's first reaction is, "Why don't we send her a carton of Newports?"
It's also a really good one.
I think the biggest part that stuck out to me is like right when, okay, so they're calling this as a joke, right?
Yep.
He asked that question and there's a pause. And then that lady said, "This is a hospital room." And you just hear Kirk go like, "Okay."
Record scratch.
Yeah. "Let's set this table. How do I deal with this?" And then he asked her like, "What, are you dying?" And she's like, and then she says,
"I have cancer."
And he's like, "Okay."
All right.
Yeah. And then he explains the whole scenario. He's like,
let's
"Oh,
pivot.
well, it's for Barstool Sports." And
he's
he's
like,
like, this guy Dak Shepard, live to tape.
You want to be a star, and then it just takes you out at the knees, and then he stands back up, and she just takes him out at the knees again, and he just stands back up, and he crushes it. That's why when he turns to Steve and goes, "Can fucking Dak Shepard do that?" I was cracking the fuck up.
No.
Man. It was hilarious.
Exactly.
And no, he couldn't. And that that's so when people ask me about this show, like even my people at work, when they see my Twitter, they're like, "Yo, trying to read your Twitter is like trying to read hieroglyphics." Like because they're just used to like sports takes or like soccer, like you know what I mean? Like they're just like, "Dude, what is actually happening? Like, why are you in a fight with this like weird dude who's like can't talk?" I'm like, "Dude, I don't know, man. Just I'm not even gonna try to explain to you like."
Wait, the weird dude can't talk, or you can't?
Yeah, there you go. Danny's been waiting on that. Go ahead, John. Drop it. Danny's been waiting on this.
I have it. I'm literally loading it to my computer right now because he almost butchered hieroglyphics right there, and I was like, "Fuck, I forgot that drop."
Hieroglyphics. I can't talk. I mean, they can't talk.
Yeah, I have.
You get my fucking. You get my point, dumbass. I mean, you guys must go through that. Try and explain your fandom to like people that don't understand the show, buddy.
My dad's given up. I told my dad, I'm like, just turn off Twitter notifications for me. Like, it doesn't, like, nothing's gonna make any sense. But he knows Robbie V because I grew up with him. So like the Eddie back and forth of Robbie V, he thinks is funny, and then everything else, he's like, "Who the fuck is this?"
I explain it by going, if they ask me about it, that's how I got interested in it. That same reason you came to me and asked me about it, because you're obviously interested to know. And that's the same reason I got interested in this shit.
I'm just saying, when people don't know you and then like they're calling Danny a pussy on Twitter for not going to his friend's wedding, and like people that just don't know like are like, "What the fuck are these people all piling on Danny for?" You know what I mean? It's just where did this come from? It's weird.
Just guys being dudes.
Yeah, just guys being dudes. That's it. That's it. All right. So obviously we're playing the clip. John's gonna play the clip of the phone call. Anything else out of the phone call that buddy, that caught you that you want to discuss, or Danny or John?
I got nothing.
I think just this does show, and to John's point about him pivoting, I think it does show a little bit of the kindler, gentler Kirk. I think in overall, he's in a really good mood in this episode. He starts out a little annoyed because he's getting all tangled up in cables. It's a little slapstick there to start us off. But you can tell he's in a great mood. And we'll get to some of the Amish stuff and some of the stuff later on in the episode. But I mean, he's just having a great time. You know, you can tell he's having fun with this. But I think he felt something powerful from that phone call. Like, I think that there was a little bit of a, hey, this is real life. But you know, I think he actually saw himself sort of, you know, speaking to someone at another level. And it was like, yeah, I'm on a podcast where we fuck around and make fun of people and, you know, joke around and tell dick jokes. But at the same time, like in the same episode, we can, you know, talk to somebody on a very real level about life. You know, I think that's just shows the versatility of Kirk Minahan.
There was a yeah, there it is. There it is. By the way, I DM'd Coleman and I said I'm very proud that I'm a drop on the show. Like you told me that when I started listening to the show 5 years ago, if you said I'd be in or a drop or both, like that's fucking unbelievable. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable.
Well, especially since there were no drops for 2 years.
Yeah. Buddy, like that one.
It was Steve's system.
Yeah, you couldn't figure out Steve's system, buddy. That's right. I'm fucking calling
He's a sweet boy. He's a sweet
All right,
boy.
so I have a couple of Steve things that really just, buddy, and you're right. Like when you hear a Steve episode, you're just like, oh, like he just says a couple of things that just always kind of blow my mind, and he's so serious about it. So I wrote down two of them. When Kirk talks about how they're going to let people into the football games, like, what do you mean they're going to let 20%? Like, how did the season tickets go? And like, blah, blah. Steve just goes, oh, it's free market America. You just jack up the prices and whoever can go, can go. And Kirk's just like, well, no, Steve, like they already bought the tickets. They're season ticket holders. Like, do you not? And then he's like, well, no. Just like, you just let the free market decide. And then he's like, well, he goes, do you know that the Patriots have sold out for the last like 20 years? Have you know the Patriots have won 6 Super Bowls, Steve? Like, you know, they have season ticket holders, right? So that made me laugh. That was like a quintessential Steve moment. And then there was another one where like they talked about dinner. I don't know how they got onto it. And it was off of this football conversation. And he says like, yeah, last night I made poached halibut with homemade polenta. And I was just like, that's just classic Steve. Like, that's just Steve.
I miss cooking with Steve.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah, that gets them into their placenta talk, I think, right?
Yeah, Kirk,
that gets them to the placenta talk. Yeah, that gets them to the placenta talk.
And then, of course, in typical Steve Robinson fashion, he's like, oh, yeah, I also have relatives that have cooked placenta.
Yeah, that have eaten placenta.
Done art with
he said they've eaten them.
Yeah, grind it up into pills or something.
Yeah, it's just,
God
bless.
Just as bad.
God bless Steve.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I love Steve, dude.
Those two, I was kind of cracking up just listening to him like explain those two things. Danny, anything else jump out at you this episode other than the phone call that you said you wanted to get into a little bit here?
Yeah, so at the beginning, Kirk talks about Harry getting baptized.
Yes.
And he got baptized at the church where both his parents were laid to rest. And he looks up and notices that he said several family members noticed as well. And I totally forgot about this till I re-listened to this. But that Joseph with Jesus, Mary, and Joseph looked just like him. And I remember him tweeting out that picture. And he's like, am I not podcast Jesus? Am I now podcast Joseph? And that just became this whole kind of running thing. And then what kind of cracked me up too is he tweeted out a picture of Harry on his first communion. And I guess his tie was a little loose.
Yeah.
And, you know, he was
I remember this.
He was tagging Milton's being like, thanks, Milton's, for, you know, this great outfit for Harry and take care of
and they went at him, right?
Yeah. And they made fun of his tie. It's like the fucking sponsors shitting on his 8-year-old kid.
Yeah.
It's cracked me up.
Then we get the caller later who reminds Kirk that Bradford was doing it too.
That's right.
Like late in the show. Yep.
Yeah.
This is when Bradford was still a little bit on the outs, wasn't he? Yeah, he said Bradford did a 6-hour show that Saturday, which is just fucking crazy.
That's crazy.
If I could, real quick, Dave, on the topic of sponsors, I thought the sponsor list on this episode was really interesting. You had not only Milton's, of course, you know that's going to happen. I mean, you're going to see Milton's every episode, but he had an investment firm. He had Highbrow CBD, and Steve Robinson actually did the read because Highbrow had just come on. Highbrow, you know, big Mina fan.
I think that's a Steve. I think these are a couple of Steve Robinson sales.
Yeah, so I think he brought them on. You know, they're making. Steve's like, this is the next greatest thing. Like CBD is the best. And of course, once weed became legal, all that fucking went out the window. Everybody's just got the weed.
Yeah.
But just sort of an interesting. There's one other weird one. Oh, shit, what was it? There was another one. Oh, one for sperm bank, like a at-home sperm bank where you like jerk off in a box and send it via UPS for an analysis. It is like completely like a couple sponsors I just totally forgot about.
Buddy wasn't in Buddy and John. Now he said CBD, and that reminds me. Didn't Jay used to freak the fuck out when they would do like CBD like commercials? Didn't he? Wasn't he so against that or whatever? Wasn't that like a Jay like battle?
Yeah, I don't think he believes in CBD, but he also doesn't have cancer, so this could teach him two different things here.
Yeah, I just remember Jay. Remember Jay used to just get so mad, like, "Oh, CBD is like fake. You guys are selling fake, like whatever." I don't know. I just popped in my head. Sorry to bring up Jay. That's my fault. That's my fault. That's my fault.
They always make me laugh. The Jay thoughts.
Yeah,
just like reading that, like what he's always talking like nonsense. I'm like, Jay, what the fuck does this mean, dude? Like, you don't even know. Like, he's talking about mushrooms.
I guess he's in a war with VD right now as well too. So that's interesting.
Oh, breaking news.
Too many people.
Yeah.
Team
If only Kirkenoff was around and Andrew Augustus could report the news, that might make it.
Listen,
I don't want to talk about
it. Go ahead, Diddy.
I had another thing. So speaking of Gus, I think I have an idea for Gus. So this is something Gus could do. This is back when Kirk was obsessed with the Amish. So they're talking about, and John, down in your neck of the woods almost, right? At least closer than us. Not
closer
really.
than you.
I don't. Pennsylvania's a large state, but
state.
He's getting calls from Lewisburg, Pennsylvania, where they're looking at drive-in to potentially do a show.
That's right.
And there's the theater that I guess a caller calls in and says that after October 31st, they're going to be able to have more than 20 people and all this, because it's back when all the limitations of COVID and all that bullshit. But they're arguing about how many Amish people are actually there. So they're calling up supermarkets. Kirk has Steve Robinson pull up a YouTube video of people speaking Amish and, Pennsylvania Dutch and whatever. And Kirk's trying to imitate it. So he's calling fucking supermarkets, like speaking Dutch to try to see if they'll respond. And when they just basically hung up on him, he's like, well, obviously there aren't enough Amish people around there. So I'm thinking Gus should go live with the Amish for a couple months, kind of basically recreate Kingpin, kind of see how that goes.
Boy, Danny.
I love it.
Yeah. Are you feeding Gus's ideas, Danny? Are you part of the drawing board? Is that what's going on?
I've stayed out of that. I mentioned one thing to him. Of course it's bad. No, none of the ideas he's
those four today were so bad.
No,
it was so bad, buddy. It was so bad.
He explained it perfectly. It's a he needs to stop saying ideas. He needs to just not say ideas. He's worried about saying ideas.
Oh my god!
Dumb, no matter what.
Yeah.
When he came in, he said he spent all night on the drawing board, and those are the four things he said. I couldn't fucking believe it. Two of them were from the day before.
Every video I was drawing.
I got 4 winners, bro.
I got 4 winners.
Although my favorite part might have been an hour after that when he's like, "Oh, we could do a lie detector test." I'm like, "We brought that up 20 minutes ago, bro."
And you always lie. Like the shit is gonna be
Oh my god.
Oh,
that's
man.
the part
Anyway.
I don't get. Like I didn't know that about him. Like I would say, or like I never noticed that about him. Where like everything is always a lie. Like maybe we like never called it out, But even like today with the books, he's like first of all, how do you not know Kirk's gonna ask you what book if you bring up that idea?
It's unbelievable.
He doesn't think about the second level at all. But how do you not have one of the books ready to go?
And then Dave, you called out on Twitter him swiping Sheldon's idea, right? I mean,
he literally I was like, when he said that, I was like, hold on, I just saw that an hour ago. Like I just saw Sheldon tweet that out.
Yeah, I saw you guys talk about that. So he presented that idea as his own.
Yeah.
Yeah, Howie Carr.
But it's such a good idea, though. It's so good.
I mean, I honestly Kirk poo-pooed that. I would absolutely watch Andrew Augustus try to present a book report that's to Steve Robinson. That Steve Robinson wrote the book. Like Steve Robinson knows that book in and out, right? I would watch that. I would watch that.
Of course, the problem is as soon as you say it, you can't do it anymore, and including even if it was his idea, like that's why I wish
I just got to give props to Sheldon. Like Sheldon's an idiot.
Well, of course, it was his. Yeah,
that was
unbelievable. Surprising that his brain came up with that. Like I'm just shocked, to be honest with you.
But if he had picked one thing and just done it, even if it sucked, if he had something to show and listen to on the show today versus the drawing board stuff, I think that I don't know.
It's how he used to say I'm cutting clips. Now his immediate like shock response is drawing board.
Drawing board. Yeah. He can't say cut clips anymore, dude. You're right. He can't say that anymore.
I made a video today, and it was just Gus's drawing board, and I had a million Post-its all over, and every Post-it just said cut clips.
Yeah. Oh, and John, I do want to say, a phenomenal video that you posted last week on Instagram and Twitter of like Kirk's doing the Spider-Man song with me. That's fucking unbelievable, John. That was so fucking
amazing.
Good. It was amazing. And by the way, the Davers
serving people food.
Serving the spaghetti is
my
great.
private Instagram, and people like I put that in my story, and people would DM me, and they were like, "What the fuck is this?"
No, my sister saw that. My sister saw that. She's like, "What'd you do now?" It's like, don't even worry about it. Just like don't even worry about it. Don't sweat it.
I don't question anything in any of John's Instagram stories anymore, though. I'm like, if I don't recognize it, I'm like, that's got to be a work thing or something. I just don't pretend.
None of it's anything.
I'm like, that's a
all right.
It's just John.
Let's get back into this episode and we'll wrap it up. I have a couple of small points that we haven't talked about yet that I'd like to bring up, but I'll let Danny go first, and then Buddy, if you have anything else, and then we'll wrap it up. Danny,
perfect. I have two little tidbits, and then I wanted to finish with a quick story, which I'm sure everyone's going to love.
We love your stories. Last time you said a story on this show, fucking you dealt with it for a month. So yeah, can't wait.
Yeah, this is much less controversial. I think I can guarantee it. Just the yeah, that's my story. I want to make an announcement. Me and Lloyd Austin.
Trigger finger right there.
The calls. What I forgot how much I missed, and Buddy, you might have alluded to it earlier, was how great Steve could be with the callers when he felt like being playful. I mean, the abortions, the toilet flushes, there's just nothing like that. And just how much he was just hated the callers, but at least he pretended to hate them.
He hated them.
Yeah. Now and again, I think, but he enjoyed playing with them though, like a cat with a toy a little bit.
Yes.
Or a cat with a mouse before he ate it.
I just think that Steve does think and he probably is smarter than most Minifans. So he just, I think, enjoyed like talking down to them, like in the phone call.
Like no one's better than anyone. Like you may be smarter, that doesn't mean you're better. But he thinks
no. But I'm saying, John. So I think that helped with the phone calls, like you said, Danny. I think you just said a cat playing with his toy. Like he was just like cat.
As we all know, calling into that show, you're at a disadvantage. I mean, you're punching up, right? Because they can cut you off. You can barely hear them. There's a delay. There's the beep. I mean, it's that much harder to try to get a word in edgewise and actually like come out on top of the call.
Yeah, exactly.
There you go. Breaking news from David.
Yeah,
I'm getting to that.
So, real quick, on just a couple of the calls. One of the ones I wanted to bring up was so we have a Copperdoodle call, and
I miss him.
Good. It's like right at it's like 2 minutes.
Holy shit! I forgot all about him, dude.
And I remember this one because they're basically like, so Copperdoodle, and Kirk says, so is Blind Mike still your client? Copperdoodle's like, I haven't really heard from him in a while. And then he starts talking about getting pee boners and trying to piss in the middle of the night with a fucking erection.
I get myself as parallel as possible.
Kirk's like, well, I guess he doesn't really care much about his client. He just wants to call up and ask about my penis and urination.
Copperdoodle here.
Copperdoodle here.
Copperdoodle here.
You definitely want to go back and check that one out. One from Tim in Canton, where he and Tim has admitted that
Angus Bunhole.
Yes, as much as Tim is a great caller, like top 5 of all time, he'd be the first to admit that impressions and voices are not exactly his strong suit. He's trying to do Pennsylvania Dutch as what is it? Amos Bunghole. And, he basically sounds like he's trying to do a terrible Chinese accent, like just completely.
Yeah, so it's a mix of like German, in my opinion, and Chinese.
And then Tim has that real thick Boston accent too. So that's got to be hard for him to change his voice, man. You know,
like Asian, Dutch, Pennsylvania. I don't know what's going on. But he's talking about building DEC a carriage, an Amish carriage with no doors, no windows, and only locks from the outside. And then like washing the tampons to reuse them for the young girls, and just like ridiculous shit. And then the last one I just wanted to bring up. So this guy also calls in, and I think both Kirk and Steve are lying because everyone's done this at least once in their adult lives. I think I've done it. I'm all happy to admit it. You get in the shower to take a shower, and then you have to shit once you're already in the shower. And this guy, it's a stupid question because he's basically like, Kirk, what do you do? And it's like, well, obviously, fuckhead, you get out of the shower and take a shit.
Yeah,
back in the shower.
That's happened to me before, for sure.
But both Kirk and Steve are like, "Oh, we've never done that. Like, I know when I'm shit and when I'm going to shit, I'm an adult." I'm like, "Come on, once in a while, it sneaks up on you, you know." So I think there was a little exaggeration there.
I think since then, like Kirk has said, like he had food poisoning so bad, like one of the times he canceled the show, and that happened to him, like where he was like, I actually had to like get out of like the shower, take a shit for the first time in my life, and but like I'm just like I don't really remember that. I think I remember, that. But
that sounds familiar. Yeah,
now it sounds about right. Yeah.
Probably
good quote, buddy.
That was a good one. But they just destroyed this guy, which was actually hilarious. They're like, "Come on, man, are you a grown man? Do you know how to like control your poop?"
He's like, the toilet paper is wet though.
Yeah.
Like, oh, it sucks. Like it sucks. And then you gotta go back into the shower. It's awful. It's the worst.
Yeah.
It's
the guy was a complete moron. It was a terrible question, but and then last part of that was Steve pulled out his patented Marty Mush impression, which always cracked me up.
Oh,
very good.
So underrated impression by Steve. Yes.
So good. Oh, it's very close to his Bernie Sanders impression, but it's very good.
Yes. And then I had one little tidbit. It's interesting that Kirk pumped up the network on the show. King Pig Pete had a gambling show that I think lasted 3 weeks. I think it went about 3 weeks. Whereas now there's like 4 gambling shows on the network. But at this time, this was the only one. They even talked about his record.
Shout out Robbie
V.
Big
Robbie V. Yep. And I think does Montante still do the one on the network? I don't think he does.
No.
I think he stopped doing it after 2 weeks too. So yeah, there's 2 of them on there. Anyway, so that was interesting to hear. Like, I remember Kingpin Pete was going to be like the official gambling guru and all that good stuff. So it was interesting to hear that little tidbit too. It was nice to hear from Pete. He called in last week too. Living in Maine now. Shout out Kingpin Pete. Always a good caller.
Yeah, he was great.
Definitely. Yeah. Buddy, anything else from you that jumped out before we get to Danny's story to wrap this up?
No, the last thing I had Danny touched on, which was like I'm like the abortion sounds, and like I think there were 2. There's just a flush, and he had the one with the vacuum, and like they flushed like the third grader. Like it's just like terrible.
But like Kirk's like, thank God you didn't abort the third grader.
I always hated those calls though. They're like why are you gonna put your daughter on and ask that question? Just ask the question. I never understood that.
I love them because just in my head I just picture like the dad there. It's just like everything about the American house.
I'll say this, buddy. I agree with you. I don't miss like blessing of the babies and shit either. Like I hated those. I fucking hated those. I'm sorry.
BMD would get so mad at me because he wanted Kirk to bless Lauren, or Kirk blessed one of his kids. Like actually, like, and he just pretended it wasn't him or whatever. But but I was like, I don't know, dude. It's fucking lame. Like it's lame. Kirk, but like to ask.
Yeah, like I was just be like, all right, like I don't care. Like just next call. Like be funny. Yeah, I agree.
Daddy, that call is in this next episode with Clemmer.
Yeah, we talked about that earlier.
Yeah.
The Emily one, yeah. Oh, so good.
Yeah. Yep. All right, Danny, wrapping up with your story then, buddy. I think we touched on all the bases here.
All right. So
after Danny, I'd like to ask you a couple of questions, if that's possible.
Oh, perfect.
Oh no, then go ahead.
Yeah,
go ahead, buddy.
Guess first.
Okay.
Guess first.
It's all Minifan stuff. I told you I was doing the show because I misunderstood a fight with McBus Daddy. No big deal. But so since I'm doing the show, it's my obligation as a nice guy to ask you to unblock Sig. Like, why do you hate Sig?
Who, me?
Yeah.
Oh, dude, that dude's crazy, brother. Like he sees all my tweets. Yeah, he's got 8 accounts, buddy. He talks to his own accounts.
He talks to his own accounts.
I know.
He talks to his own accounts, buddy. And he's super annoying. He's super like he'll be like cool with you. Like he'll literally be like, "Oh, Daver, cool," and then the next like his other burner account come in. Daver's a fat idiot. Like it's just so weird. Like I think that's insane, buddy. And like he's a psychiatrist who works with kids. Like that's wild to me. That's insane.
He made an account for every producer so he could be a fan of each producer candidate. So he had an account that was a fan of each one, and they would battle with each other on the timeline. And I was like, Jesus, Sacco did break everybody.
Yeah, that.
I'll unblock him, but like the only reason I haven't unblocked him is because he has 7 other accounts and he interacts with me. Like I know his other accounts. I'll be like, hey, what up, Sig? Yeah, I'll be like, hey, what's up, dude?
He's a good dude though. He came on our show once, and
he's fucking crazy. Like he's crazy. Yeah. The amount of times he's called Montante and texted him without a response back is like psychopathic behavior.
I think that's hilarious though, because I know how mad Mike gets. Mike gets mad at me if I text him like twice in an hour.
Yeah.
He just
Wait, Sig's in the Montard trust tree. He's in the app. Like, I mean, he's
He
in that
loves
group.
it. Yeah,
That's why I
he's
felt
leader.
brave enough to ask Dave this.
He's leader of the Montards again, I think.
Oh, no, he's leader, and then another. He'll literally have another account then, and then trashes Montante. It's insanity.
Yeah. Like,
it's crazy, boys.
I had him DMing me being like, listen, I want you to know I'm just saying I'm for Montante and this guy out in public, but I want you to know behind the scenes I'm really for you. And I'm like,
I mean, like, this is
you
guys, like,
I'll tell Kirk.
like if there's anyone that should be in McLean, it's like that kid, legitimately.
Dude, when he came on a show and he got so nervous.
But I'll unblock him, buddy. I'll unblock him.
Well, he puked during the draft episode of like the 420 show.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah, I remember that.
It was on our channel. I was sitting there and like you just heard vomit. I asked him like a couple months ago, I was like, was that because you got sick? And he was like, no, it was nerves. And I was like, that's actually even crazier.
Yeah.
Yeah, I felt pretty bad.
Dude, it's your boys. Like these are your boys.
I'm talking to my heroes.
I mean, imagine that. But yeah, that's
I'm on GVE.
Just tell him not to like DM me 150 fucking times, and I'll unblock him.
We're working on that too. We talk about it. We meet every Wednesday. And we talk about it. So
that's solid. Good for you. You're a good guy.
I'll help you out with that, Dave, or two. I like Sig. I'll back you up.
He's a nice guy. He does. Last time he was in Narragansett, he didn't hit me up though. So that's -1 on him.
Yeah, there you go.
I consider him blocked.
Yeah, fuck him actually.
I think that's him and Menners are the only two that I have blocked. That's it. That's my only block list. I unblocked BA a couple weeks ago.
That was the other thing I was gonna ask.
I had BA blocked for like a day or two. I was gonna block BA for an hour, and then the way all these fucking pussies reacted and started crying that I blocked their fucking hero made me dig in my heels and leave him blocked. Like that's all.
Pathetic.
Yeah,
oh, fucking you blocked BA. I'm like, all right, well, fuck you guys. Like, I have sneaks like texting me. Oh, you blocked BA? Like, yeah.
That's my level of serious meter now is that if I have sneaks texting me, then it's to the point where I should like pay attention. It's like he's a good barometer of like, okay, things are getting serious now. Sneaks is on your fucking ass.
Well, it's I find it funny. Like, obviously the whole Ned Snark thing on Mike and the Minifans too. I find it funny when people can have no problem. They can take shots at me all they want. But if I respond like one time, it's everyone texting me being like, oh, are you sensitive? And it's like, guys, literally Kurt sang the Spider-Man fat song about me and John made a video and I laughed. Like, do I look like I'm really sensitive? Buddy calls me like once a week or texts me every once in a while like a fat retard or something like that. And like, I laugh, like
I don't use that word. It's terrible.
Well, whatever. You know what I'm saying, though. You like
the
bust my balls.
Thing was kind of unprovoked, though. Didn't you just call him an old fuck out of the blue?
No, he called me a fucking clout chaser. I'm making the Minifans. I wasn't unprovoked.
Was he wrong?
Yeah, so is he. That's what I'm saying. Like, how are you? Like, you're on Mike and the Minifans every week, and you're sitting there calling me and other people clout chasers. Like he wouldn't go on Kirk if Kirk asked him. Like let's not pretend. Let's not play. Yeah, he says he wouldn't because he hasn't. Danny, he says he wouldn't because he hasn't been asked.
He's an Old Testament believer. He's still a guy he's still a Minifan that holds clout.
Oh.
People, clout's in the air now, boys. We breathe the
clout.
We have,
of course,
we have the whole world has it now. It's everywhere.
And by the way, that's not only it. He's been taking shots on me like on Montante's world. Davis. So I respond one time, and everyone's like, "Oh." So all right,
I'll tell you what. Fuck that beard.
Like,
hard to argue.
Hard to argue.
I mean, God forbid you take a shot at a grandpa one time and everyone gets all fucking bent out of shape.
No, that's elder abuse.
The best is when he was freaking out at Mayo and he's like, I'm 70 years old and I would step in between Mick and Kirk. And Mayo would run to my
70, dude? What?
yeah. He thought
my favorite.
Kill everyone.
Yeah.
My favorite.
Any other questions, buddy? Go.
Hold on one second.
All right,
when Ned came on Kirk up, but we're like, wow, Ned, like that voice is like amazing. How'd you do it? And he's like 2 packs a day.
Yeah, he's a heavy.
Yeah.
I was like, oh Jesus Christ! No, I don't.
Yeah, he made it longer. He made it longer than that lady in the episode.
I have cancer.
Yeah.
I have cancer.
What else did you have on your mind there, buddy? It's been a while since you've been on the Kirk Minihan Network.
That was it. I feel like I had more SIG related questions, but like we settled them all.
More SIG related.
The first reason you wanted to come on this show because it was to see me, right? Remember you said that in the text.
100%. It definitely wasn't because I didn't know McFuss Daddy was made fun of Daver first. So I was like, I was gonna go on McFuss Daddy's show because Daver asked me to do this, so I wanted to hurt Daver. But then I was like, I was like, wait, let me just check in with Daver and see what's going up. I'm like, why be mean to my boy McFuss Daddy who just won me like a bet like the week before? And Daver was like, he called me a fat retard or something. And I was like, all right, I'll do your show. Fuck it, I won't do his.
Wait, McFuss actually called you a fat retard?
That word.
No, he called me like on one of his streets, the month of hate or whatever. He's like that fat pussy Daver or whatever. Yeah.
I love that.
So once again, I responded and I called him a four-eyed fucking hick. And
buddy,
here we are.
I thought you thought this was Mount Kirkmore and you're accidentally on the wrong show.
That would have been great. That would have been very funny.
You're like, I got my draft picks ready to go, guys.
Yeah.
What the fuck are you talking about?
But by the way, if Buddy had done that, I would have laughed. That would have been very
hilarious.
funny. Yeah. No, Buddy went on Mount Kirkmore instead of here. That would have been funny. That would have been fine.
Now I regret not doing it.
I would have. I would have blocked him, but whatever.
Well, if you go on Mount Kirkmore, if you film tomorrow, that episode will still be up a week before ours. So that would
there you go.
It's insane. It's insane. I had something to bring up because we talked about Pennsylvania for so much. I want to propose a Pennsylvania drive-in show. This is our Circle Drive-in. It's beautiful. That's all I had to say. Thank you.
That's nice. Ooh, nice.
Very nice.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
The Circle Drive-in was built in 1952.
Wow.
Beautiful. All right. Buddy's got to get to go to bed. Danny, wrap us up with your fucking story.
All right, so this is going to be just complete flop after this episode, but the back when I lived the house.
If Danny announces he has cancer right now, it'd be unbelievable. Go ahead, Danny.
Actually, nope. I have an announcement. I am boner salad.
Yeah. Oh Jesus.
Actually, I mean nobody would have seen that coming.
Yeah, that's
no.
Yeah, that would have been a dark horse. Anyway, so the house I grew up in, the number was very similar to a hospital in the area. So one day the landline rings in the kitchen of my childhood house, and my dad picks up, and on the other end they say, hello, is this the kitchen? And my dad says, yes.
I mean, I can't with you. I fucking can't with you, Danny.
I mean, it literally was the kitchen, but they thought they were calling the hospital kitchen. You get it, David?
So I get it, and I see where you get your sense of humor from. You and your dad are just two peas in a pod, I guess, huh?
I don't remember what they said next. We just laughed.
Oh my God, Danny! I can't believe that.
He turned slowly to Danny and went.
Got him.
Little Danny's like, go, Dad,
yeah, he definitely turned to Danny and went, burn.
Meanwhile, it's probably some lady that has cancer looking for a fucking soup. But
yeah. Oh my God, I can't. All right, boys. Buddy,
bad. All right, thanks, buddy.
Buddy, thank you for coming on. Thank you for staying up late, man. Appreciate you, and we'll talk soon. Have a great one.
Yeah, of course.